All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive
Okay.
into a topic that's, I think,
Yeah.
endlessly fascinating and often frustrating,
Mm-hmm.
and that is dating and relationships.
Okay.
Now, you send over some sources,
Yeah.
and I have to admit they offer a perspective I haven't encountered before.
Right.
So we're going to try to decode the often unspoken rules and strategies at play in dating.
Okay.
But with a twist, we're specifically looking at this from a heterosexual male point of view.
That's what makes it so interesting.
Think of it as a deep dive into the bro code of relationships,
Mm-hmm.
but using these theory, handbook, communications manual, and study guide excerpts that you shared.
Yeah, we're not talking about the usual self-help advice. This is
Yeah.
like getting a glimpse into a whole different philosophy on relationships.
Exactly. And some of the ideas are pretty provocative.
They are.
Like, why do these sources claim that women prefer customer ignorance in dating?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really about mystery, or is there something deeper going on? And is total honesty really the best approach when you're first getting to know someone?
It definitely challenges some conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole idea of dating as a game
Right.
with strategies and power dynamics at play.
Yeah.
That customer ignorance concept really sets the stage for that, doesn't it?
It's like saying the less a man understands about what women want,
Mm-hmm.
the more power women have in the dating game.
Right.
Kind of cynical, isn't it?
It is, but if we unpack it a bit, it
Okay.
could also be interpreted as a commentary
Okay.
on how men often approach dating
Mm-hmm.
with a lack of awareness or intentionality.
Yeah.
Maybe it's suggesting that women are simply responding to that dynamic.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about women deliberately withholding information,
Right.
but more about men needing to step up their game and be more perceptive.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this whole idea of ranking really ties into that as well.
Okay.
The handbook argues that women are drawn to men who are already desired by other women, almost like social proof. Is
Yeah.
a key factor in attraction.
So it's not just about finding someone you connect with on a personal level,
Right.
but also about proving your worth in the eyes of others.
Yeah.
That seems a little shallow.
It does raise questions about the role of societal pressure and validation in dating.
Yeah.
Are we choosing partners based on genuine compatibility
Right.
or on how they enhance our social standing?
And speaking of navigating that social landscape,
Yeah.
this advice to avoid being completely honest in the early stages of dating is pretty intriguing. It's
Yeah.
like the handbook is suggesting a bit of strategic self-presentation.
It definitely challenges the idea that authenticity should be paramount from day one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's acknowledging that we all present a slightly curated version of ourselves when we're first getting to know someone.
Right. It's like there's a difference between being genuine and oversharing too soon.
Exactly.
There's an art to revealing yourself gradually as you build trust and intimacy.
Exactly. And that's where communication becomes so crucial.
Yeah.
The communications manual really dives into the differences between how men and women communicate,
Okay.
especially when it comes to emotions.
And it doesn't shy away from the stereotypes, does it?
It does not.
That statistic about women talking 4 times as much as men is pretty attention-grabbing.
It is, but what's important is looking beyond the surface level.
Okay.
The manual explains that talking is a way for women to process information and emotions.
Mhm.
It's not just about idle chatter.
Right.
It's about making sense of their world.
So for the guys listening,
Yeah.
the takeaway here is that listening is your superpower.
Absolutely.
It's about really hearing and understanding your partner's feelings, not just waiting for your turn to speak.
Absolutely. And it's not about jumping in with solutions either.
Right.
Sometimes women just need to be heard and validated, not fixed.
This reminds me of that advice to avoid apologizing before you even know what's wrong.
Right.
It's like the manual saying, hold on, listen first, understand, and then respond in a way that's genuine and empathetic.
Right. It's about being present and attentive
Yeah.
rather than resorting to a quick fix
Mm-hmm.
that might not address the underlying issue.
Right.
And it also ties into this idea of avoiding those accusatory statements
Okay.
that can escalate conflict.
Oh, yeah, those classic you always and you never statements.
Exactly.
That can shut down communication completely.
Instead, the manual suggests framing your statements
Okay.
from a personal feeling standpoint.
Okay.
So instead of saying, you're always late,
Right.
try, I feel anxious when you're late because it makes me worry.
Okay.
It shifts the focus from blame to understanding.
It's like taking ownership of your own emotions
Exactly.
without attacking your partner.
Right.
That's got to be helpful in de-escalating those heated moments.
And speaking of navigating potentially charged situations,
Yes.
let's talk about this whole alpha male concept. The study guide seems to lean into this archetype quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like the guide is saying that women are drawn to men who embody confidence, dominance, and take charge attitudes.
Exactly.
It even suggests that men should act like an alpha male.
That raises the question of whether this is about genuine confidence or
Yeah.
simply performing a role
Yeah.
to attract a certain type of partner.
It's like you're putting on a show instead of being your authentic self.
Right.
Is that really sustainable in the long run?
Right. And the advice to avoid apologizing too frequently because it supposedly diminishes your alpha status
Yeah.
seems a bit problematic to me.
It's like you're not allowed to show vulnerability or admit fault.
Right.
That doesn't sound like a healthy dynamic.
It definitely seems to perpetuate those outdated ideas about masculinity that we're trying to move away from.
But on the flip side,
Yeah.
the study guide also talks about the importance of packaging and style,
Right.
which is interesting. It's like they're acknowledging that first impressions matter
Yeah.
and how you present yourself can influence attraction.
It's like saying that while inner qualities are important,
Right.
they need to be presented in a way that's appealing and engaging.
Right. And they even use that analogy of a woman's home being a curated presentation of herself,
Yeah.
while a man's home should be more bead-proofed.
It's a bit tongue-in-cheek,
Yeah.
but it does highlight the idea that men should be mindful of the image they're projecting in the early stages of dating.
And then there's that suggestion to have pictures with children in your home,
Yeah.
but no exes.
Of course not.
It's all about crafting an image that appeals to a woman's subconscious desires, apparently.
It does seem a bit calculated,
Right.
but I guess it's acknowledging that visual cues
Yeah.
can play a role in attraction.
And speaking of strategically piquing someone's interest,
Yeah.
this concept of chumming really caught my attention.
Yeah.
It's like a subtle way of making your presence known without being too forward.
It's like you're planting seeds of interest, allowing attraction to build gradually over time.
It's definitely a more nuanced approach than going for the hard sell right away.
And it ties into this idea that attraction is often about building a connection,
Right.
not just a physical spark.
Okay. I'm ready to delve into some more of these unconventional strategies.
Well, right?
This study guide is full of surprises.
Yeah.
What else do we have in store?
Well, let's just say it gets even more interesting from here.
Okay.
We're about to explore some tactics that challenge traditional dating norms
All right.
and delve into the power dynamics at play in relationships.
Okay.
So
Buckle up.
buckle up.
This is going to be a wild ride.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that really stands out in the study guide is its emphasis on the power of saying no.
Okay.
It's framed as a man's most important right in dating.
Oh, that's interesting. You'd think a guide focused on attracting women would be all about saying yes to every opportunity. But it seems to be advocating for a more self-assured approach.
Exactly. It's about setting boundaries,
Yeah.
maintaining a degree of autonomy,
Okay.
and not being afraid to walk away from situations that don't align with your values or goals.
They even go so far as to advise having an exit strategy planned in any relationship. That seems a bit extreme, doesn't it?
That does sound a little cynical at first glance,
Yeah.
but maybe it's more about encouraging men to be realistic about the challenges of relationships
Okay.
and to prioritize their own well-being.
And when it comes to discussing the future,
Right.
they suggest using vague language, what they call the bob and weave principle.
Interesting.
It's like you're supposed to avoid making any firm commitments early on.
It's definitely a strategy for maintaining a sense of control
Yeah.
and avoiding getting trapped in a relationship that's not right for you. But I can see how it could also create a lack of trust and intimacy.
It seems like a recipe for miscommunication and hurt feelings
Yeah.
if both partners aren't on the same page.
Right. It highlights the importance of open and honest communication,
Yeah.
even in the early stages of dating.
Now, switching gears a bit,
Okay.
this whole section on travel and romance is particularly intriguing.
Okay.
The study guide talks about the Hawaii effect, where women are supposedly more likely to have one-night stands while far from home.
It's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about the sense of freedom and anonymity that
Yeah.
comes with being away from familiar surroundings and social constraints.
Right. It's like a temporary escape from the everyday routine and expectations.
And the communications manual suggests that women might even rationalize these encounters as romance.
Now,
rather than feeling guilty or promiscuous.
That's fascinating. It could suggest that context plays a big role in how we perceive and justify our own behavior.
Exactly, and the study guide actually encourages men to travel overseas,
Really?
specifically to experience these different dating dynamics. They even suggest that women in other cultures might be more receptive to American men.
Now, that raises some interesting questions about cultural differences and perceptions of masculinity.
It does.
Yeah.
It also makes me wonder if we're perpetuating stereotypes or simply acknowledging that attraction can be influenced by a variety of factors,
Yeah.
including cultural background.
And there's that practical tip about bringing a photo album when traveling overseas
Right.
to spark conversation and showcase your life back home.
It's a clever way to create a sense of connection and shared experience.
Mm.
It's like you're offering a glimpse into your world,
Yeah.
making yourself more relatable and multidimensional.
Right. It's about going beyond superficial small talk
Yeah.
and establishing a foundation for something deeper.
Speaking of building connection,
Okay.
the communications manual really delves into the importance of understanding female communication styles.
Okay.
It emphasizes the power of listening for men,
Right.
especially when their partner is expressing their feelings.
It's about really trying to understand their perspective and validating their emotions,
Exactly.
not just offering solutions or trying to fix things.
And it highlights the idea that sometimes women just need to vent or process their emotions out loud. And it's not always about finding a quick resolution.
The manual even advises men to avoid interrupting or offering advice unless specifically asked.
Right.
It's about creating a safe space for your partner to share their thoughts and feelings without judgment.
And it also talks about the importance of acceptance as a key element of good listening.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging your partner's feelings without trying to change them or minimize their experience.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's about validating their emotions even if you don't necessarily agree with their perspective.
The communications manual also points out how men and women often approach communication differently.
Okay.
Men tend to be more direct and problem-solving focused,
Right.
while women prioritize emotional expression.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced that firsthand.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need to talk things through to process my emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and my partner immediately jumps in with a solution.
It's a classic communication clash,
Right.
and it often leads to misunderstandings and frustration
Mm-hmm.
because both partners feel like they're not being heard or understood.
So how do we bridge that gap?
Right.
What's the key to communicating effectively across those gender differences?
Well, the communications manual suggests that men should focus on asking clarifying questions
Okay.
and reflecting back what they're hearing to ensure they're truly grasping their partner's perspective.
Okay.
It's about active listening, not just passive hearing.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
It's about being fully present in the conversation
Right.
and engaging with what your partner is saying, both verbally and non-verbally.
And the manual also dives into the dynamics of arguments,
Really?
highlighting how they can play out differently for men and women.
It seems like arguments often leave men feeling more bitter. And the manual suggests this is because of the pressure they feel to apologize to restore harmony
Right.
and ultimately to retain sexual access.
It's a rather cynical take,
It is.
but it does point to the power dynamics that can be at play in relationships.
It also raises questions about whether genuine reconciliation is truly achievable.
Mm-hmm.
If one partner feels pressured to apologize simply to avoid conflict or to maintain a certain level of intimacy.
Right. And it speaks to the importance of addressing those underlying power imbalances
Yeah.
and creating a more equitable dynamic
Okay.
where both partners feel safe and respected.
Now, the communications manual also has this section on those classic accusatory statements
Yeah.
that often pop up in arguments.
Yeah.
You know, those you always and you never phrases
Of course.
that can instantly trigger defensiveness.
Yes, they can be incredibly damaging to communication.
Right.
The manual encourages men to try and decipher the underlying feelings behind these statements.
Okay.
What's the real message your partner is trying to convey?
It's about looking beyond the surface level
Mm-hmm.
and trying to understand the root of the issue
Right.
rather than getting caught up in the blame game.
Exactly. And it also encourages men to respond to these accusations in a way that acknowledges their partner's feelings
Mm-hmm.
without accepting blame if they don't feel it's warranted.
So instead of saying, that's not true, I do listen,
Right.
you might say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm trying my best to understand what you're saying.
Right. It's about validating their emotions
Okay.
without necessarily agreeing with their interpretation of events.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between acknowledging your partner's feelings and standing up for your own perspective.
Speaking of different perspectives,
Okay.
this next section of the communications manual really caught my attention.
All right.
It's all about alpha male communication
Oh,
styles.
this should be interesting.
Yeah.
The study guide also touched on this whole alpha male archetype.
It did.
It's like men are supposed to project confidence and assertiveness in their communication
Yeah,
to be attractive to women.
exactly. And the communications manual gets even more specific,
Okay.
offering tips on how to embody this communication style.
Right.
For example, it suggests that men should avoid using qualifiers in their speech,
Okay.
like maybe or sort of.
It's all about speaking with conviction and certainty,
Right.
projecting an air of decisiveness and authority.
And it even goes so far as to say that apologizing too frequently can undermine a man's alpha status.
It's like apologizing is seen as a sign of weakness or submissiveness.
It definitely reinforces those traditional gender roles and expectations that we're trying to move away from.
But there's got to be a middle ground, right?
Right.
You don't want to be a pushover,
Yeah,
but you also don't want to come across as arrogant or insensitive.
absolutely. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're communicating your needs and opinions clearly and respectfully
Right.
without resorting to aggressive or domineering tactics.
And the communications manual also has some interesting advice about how men should respond to compliments.
Oh, really?
It suggests that men should simply accept compliments gracefully,
Okay.
rather than deflecting them or downplaying their accomplishments.
That's a good point.
They even suggest responding with a simple "thank you" or "I appreciate that,"
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to explain away your successes or shift the focus to others.
It's about embracing your strengths
Mm,
and allowing yourself to be seen as capable and worthy.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're internalizing that positive feedback
Right.
and building your own self-confidence.
Exactly. And the manual also points out how men often struggle to compliment women effectively.
Oh, this is so true.
Yeah.
I've received my fair share of awkward or generic compliments that
Yeah.
just felt insincere.
It seems that men often resort to superficial compliments that focus on physical appearance,
Yeah.
which can come across as creepy or objectifying.
Instead, the manual encourages men to offer specific and genuine compliments that focus on a woman's qualities, accomplishments, or efforts.
It's about going beyond the surface level
Right.
and truly noticing and appreciating what makes a woman unique and special.
Okay, I have to ask about this one.
Okay.
The communications manual has a whole section on dealing with a woman's anger.
Oh, okay.
And some of the advice is, let's just say, unconventional.
Ah, yes, navigating those choppy emotional waters.
Yes.
It seems this manual is trying to equip men with tools to handle those moments.
Yeah.
When their partner is feeling angry or upset.
For example, it advises men to avoid getting into a physical fight with a woman,
Okay.
no matter how provoked they may feel.
That's sound advice both practically and ethically.
Right.
It's never appropriate to resort to violence in any relationship, regardless of gender.
But then it gets a little more controversial.
Okay.
The manual actually suggests that if a woman punches you,
Oh, wow.
you should end the relationship immediately and permanently.
That's a strong stance.
Yeah.
It's like saying that any form of physical aggression is a deal breaker. It's a sign of disrespect that warrants immediate termination of the relationship.
It definitely leaves no room for interpretation or
Yeah.
second chances.
Right.
It's a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to physical violence.
And the manual even goes as far as to say that men should be wary of women who express anger or frustration frequently,
Right.
as it could be a sign of deeper emotional issues
Okay.
or a tendency towards volatility.
It's like you're supposed to be constantly on the lookout for red flags,
Yeah.
analyzing your partner's behavior for any signs of potential instability or conflict.
It's a rather cautious approach to relationships, isn't it?
It is.
It seems to prioritize self-preservation and avoiding potential heartache
Yeah.
over allowing space for emotional expression and growth.
But it also raises questions about whether we're creating unrealistic expectations for our partners
Right.
by expecting them to always be emotionally regulated and agreeable.
Right. It's important to remember that anger is a normal human emotion,
Mm.
and it's how we express and manage that anger that matters.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the study guide's perspective on long-term relationships and marriage.
Okay.
This section delves into the challenges and rewards of committed relationships, offering advice on how men can navigate the complexities of marriage
Right.
and maintain a fulfilling partnership.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it doesn't paint the most romantic picture of marriage.
It definitely offers a rather pragmatic,
Yeah.
even somewhat cynical view of marriage,
Okay.
particularly from a male perspective.
For example, it suggests that men often lose their sense of freedom and spontaneity after getting married,
Yeah.
as their wives tend to impose more rules and restrictions on their behavior.
Yeah. It paints a picture of marriage as a trade-off.
Yeah.
Stability and companionship in exchange for a certain level of autonomy and excitement.
It even goes so far as to suggest that men should be prepared for their wives to try and change them after marriage.
It's like a constant battle for control, with wives attempting to mold their husbands into their idealized version of a partner.
And the study guide also highlights how women often try to control their husbands' social lives after marriage,
Yeah.
limiting their time with friends and imposing their own preferences on social gatherings.
It's like a gradual erosion of personal freedom, with
Right.
men finding themselves increasingly isolated from their former social circle.
It paints a pretty bleak picture, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like marriage is a trap that slowly suffocates your individuality and independence.
It's definitely a one-sided perspective.
Yeah.
And it fails to acknowledge the joys and rewards of a truly collaborative and supportive partnership,
Right.
where both partners feel respected and valued.
Right. It's not about control and dominance,
Mm.
but about mutual respect
Mm.
and a shared vision for the future.
And speaking of shared finances,
Oh, okay.
the study guide even has a whole section on dealing with a wife's attempts to control your spending.
Oh, the financial battlefield of marriage.
Yeah.
That's definitely a topic that can spark conflict in any relationship.
It seems the study guide is acknowledging that financial control can often become a point of contention in relationships.
Yeah.
It suggests that women tend to be more frugal and security conscious,
Okay.
while men may be more inclined towards impulsive spending or risk-taking.
Those differing financial styles can definitely create tension and conflict,
Right.
especially if there's not a shared understanding or a willingness to compromise.
And the study guide goes so far as to suggest that men should have separate bank accounts
Right.
or maintain a degree of financial independence
Wow.
to avoid constant scrutiny or criticism from their wives.
That seems like a recipe for resentment and distrust, doesn't it?
It does.
Instead of viewing their finances as a shared resource,
Yeah.
it's like they're constantly battling for control and autonomy.
It definitely creates a sense of separation
Yeah.
and undermines the idea of a true partnership.
And the study guide also has a whole section on dealing with a wife's emotional outbursts or mood swings.
This section perpetuates the stereotype of women being overly emotional or unpredictable.
It suggests that men should learn to weather these storms
Yeah.
by remaining calm and detached, avoiding confrontation or emotional engagement.
It's like you're supposed to become emotionally unavailable,
Right.
shutting down your own feelings,
Yeah.
and avoiding any attempt at empathy or understanding.
And it even goes as far as to suggest that men should have an escape route planned
Oh, God.
for those moments when their wife's emotions become too intense or overwhelming.
It's a rather bleak and disheartening perspective on marriage, suggesting that men should expect their wives to be emotionally volatile,
Right.
and that their primary coping mechanism should be avoidance and detachment.
There's a far cry from the romantic ideal of two souls merging into one.
It definitely presents a skewed and limited view of what a healthy and fulfilling marriage can be.
Now, let's wrap up our exploration of these unconventional sources
Okay.
with the final section of the study guide. The art of appearing effortless.
Ah, yes, the illusion of ease.
Yes.
This section is all about projecting an aura of effortless success and confidence in your interactions with women.
It's like you're supposed to make everything look easy, even if you're working hard behind the scenes.
It speaks to the idea that effortlessness can be incredibly attractive. It suggests a certain level of mastery,
Right.
a sense that you're not struggling or striving for approval.
And the guide even suggests that men should avoid appearing overly eager or desperate.
Yeah.
When pursuing a woman as it can be a turnoff.
It's about maintaining a sense of composure and self-assurance, conveying that you're not overly invested in the outcome.
It's like that old saying, play hard to get.
Exactly. It's about creating a sink of mystery and intrigue,
Yeah.
making the woman feel like she has to work a little harder to win your attention.
But doesn't that create a dynamic of playing games?
It can.
Yeah.
if it's not done authentically.
Right.
But I think there's also something to be said for not putting all your cards on the table too early in a relationship.
It's about maintaining a sense of balance and pacing yourself.
Right.
Allowing the relationship to unfold organically rather than rushing into things.
Exactly. And the study guide also emphasizes the importance of being relaxed and comfortable in your own skin.
Okay.
It suggests that men should cultivate a sense of inner peace and contentment,
Yeah.
as it will radiate outwards and make them more attractive to women.
It's about embodying a sense of self-acceptance and authenticity,
Exactly.
which can be incredibly magnetic.
It's like when you're truly comfortable with who you are, it shows in your demeanor, your body language, and your interactions with others.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
It's not about trying to be someone you're not,
Yeah.
but about embracing your unique qualities
Right.
and allowing your true self to shine through.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
We've journeyed through these unconventional and thought-provoking sources, exploring the complexities of dating and relationships from a decidedly male perspective.
It's been quite a journey exploring these unconventional sources, hasn't it?
It has.
We've covered a lot of ground, from communication styles to the alpha male myth,
Mm-hmm.
and even the strategic aspects of dating and relationships.
It's like we've uncovered a hidden playbook,
Yeah.
revealing the secrets of the dating game from a perspective that's often overlooked or dismissed.
But as we wrap up this deep dive,
Right.
I think it's important to emphasize that these sources offer just one perspective,
Of course.
and their advice should be taken with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. While they offer valuable insights into certain dynamics that might be at play, they don't represent the whole picture.
And it's crucial to find a balance between strategy and authenticity.
Yeah.
You don't want to get so caught up in the game that you lose sight of what truly matters: genuine connection, respect, and shared values.
Well said.
Ultimately, the goal of dating shouldn't be to manipulate or outsmart the other person,
Right.
but to find someone who you connect with on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is the most important takeaway from these sources? What should our listener be thinking about as they navigate their own dating experiences?
For me, the biggest takeaway is the importance of self-awareness.
Okay.
These sources, even with their sometimes controversial advice,
Yeah.
encourage men to understand their own motivations, their strengths and their weaknesses.
Right.
It's about being honest with yourself about what you want in a relationship and what you're willing to offer.
That's such a crucial point, and it applies to everyone, not just men.
Exactly.
Self-awareness is the foundation of any healthy relationship, romantic or otherwise.
It allows you to show up authentically, set appropriate boundaries,
Yeah.
and make conscious choices about who you allow into your life.
I also think these sources highlight the importance of communication,
Yeah,
even when it's difficult.
absolutely.
Whether it's expressing your feelings, setting boundaries, or navigating conflict, clear and honest communication is essential for building a strong and fulfilling relationship.
And it's not just about talking.
Yeah.
It's about truly listening to your partner, trying to understand their perspective,
Right.
and responding in a way that's empathetic and respectful.
But I have to admit, some of the advice in these sources made me cringe a little.
I understand.
The emphasis on manipulation and playing games just doesn't sit well with me.
It's important to remember that these sources represent a specific perspective,
Yeah.
and their approach might not align with everyone's values.
Exactly. It's crucial to filter their advice through your own moral compass and make choices that feel authentic to you.
And remember, you always have the right to walk away from any situation that feels uncomfortable or disrespectful.
So for all of you out there navigating the often confusing world of dating and relationships, what's the key to finding lasting love and connection?
I think it comes down to being true to yourself,
Okay.
communicating openly and honestly, and trusting your intuition.
Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, to set boundaries,
Yes.
and to let go of relationships that no longer serve you.
And remember, the most fulfilling relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, shared values,
Yeah.
and a genuine connection that goes beyond superficial games or strategies.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of dating and relationships.
Of course.
We'll be back next week with another thought-provoking exploration of the human experience.